Peace, beautiful people. Welcome back to Ascension Books and Conversations. I am so grateful to be here with you again today. And as always, I will be leaving the book and the previous chapters in the description box below. Please subscribe if this is something that you resonate with or you want to learn more about. And please share it with anybody that you may think will benefit from some of this knowledge. Um, so we're going to get right into it today. Feel free to pull out your book if you have it, or pull out the PDF if you have it pulled up. We will be starting at chapter 21. And last week we were talking about Jesus's childhood and his studies with the Rabboni, um, who would take him to Jerusalem to learn about the religious rites, and he was very opinionated about the way that he felt when he was in these spaces and the things that he was learning. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, feel free to watch the previous video from last week, um, so that we can catch up and be um, in this space of him moving forward into his works in India. So we'll get right into it. In chapter 21, we go over Ravana sees Jesus in the temple and is captivated. Hillel tells him about the boy. Ravana finds Jesus in Nazareth and gives a feast in his honor. Ravana becomes patron of Jesus and takes him to India to study the Brahmic religion. Chapter 21, Section 6, Vow. A royal prince of India, Ravana of Orissa in the south, was at the Jewish feast. Ravana was a man of wealth, and he was just, and with a band of Brahmic priests sought wisdom in the west. When Jesus stood among the Jewish priests and read and spoke, Ravana heard and was amazed. And when he asked who Jesus was, from whence he came, and what he was, Chief Hillel said, "We call this child the day star from on high, for he has come to bring to men a light, the light of life, to lighten up the way of men and to redeem his people, Israel." And Hillel told Ravana all about the child, about the prophecies concerning him, about the wonders of the night when he was born, about the visit of the Magian priests, about the way in which he was protected from the wrath of evil men, about his fight to Egypt land, and how he then was serving with his father as a carpenter in Nazareth. Ravana was entranced and asked to know the way to Nazareth, that he might go and honor such a one as Son of God. And with his gorgeous train, he journeyed on the way and came to Nazareth of Galilee. He found the object of his search engaged in building dwellings for the sons of men. And when he first saw Jesus, he was climbing up a 12-step ladder, and he carried in his hands a compass, square, and axe. Ravana said, "All hail, most favored son of heaven." And at the inn, Ravana made a feast for all the people of the town, and Jesus and his parents were honored guests. For certain days, Ravana was a guest in Joseph's home on Marmion Way. He sought to learn the secret of the wisdom of the sun, but it was all too great for him. And then he asked that he might be the patron of the child, might take him to the east where he could learn the wisdom of the Brahms. And Jesus longed to go that he might learn, and after many days his parents gave consent. Then, with a proud heart, Ravana with his train began the journey towards the rising sun. And after many days they crossed the Sind and reached the province of Orissa and the palace of the prince. The Brahmic priests were glad to welcome home the prince. With favor they received the Jewish boy. And Jesus was accepted as a pupil in the temple Jagannath, and here learned the Vedas and the Manic laws. The Brahmic masters wondered at the clear conceptions of the child and often were amazed when he explained to them the meaning of the laws. Chapter 21. And we're back to Jesus reflecting on Brahm. And in previous chapters, we learned about Brahm and where that religion and where the Vedas came from. And I am getting some ideas of maybe that would be the next spiritual texts that we go through in the future, the Vedas. It does have to do with other religion, but it also has so many profound parts to it that can really reflect in our own way of living. And so I think it would be nice to explore after this. But yeah, just to briefly summarize, Jesus is still, I believe he's still 12 at this time, and was taken with consent to go and learn under Ravana. So we'll move forward in that to chapter 22. The friendship of Jesus and Lamas. Jesus explains to Lamas the meaning of truth, man, power, understanding, wisdom, salvation, and faith. Among the priests of Jagannath was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamas Brahmas was the name by which the priest was known. One day, as Jesus and Lamas walked alone in Plaza Jagannath, Lamas said, "My Jewish master, what is truth?" And Jesus said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth, the other falsehood is. And truth is that which is, and falsehood that which seems to be. Now truth is aught, and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of aught. Whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifests of aught, are not, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflexes, just appearing while the ethers vibrate so and so, and when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was, and is, and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away. Lamas said, "You answer well. Now, what is man?" And Jesus said, "Man is the truth, and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are conjoined in him, and they strive, and naught goes down, and man as truth abides." Again, Lamas asked, "What do you say of power?" And Jesus said, "It is a manifest, is the result of force. It is but not. It is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force is the will of God and is omnipotent, and power is that will in manifest, directed by the breath. There is power in the winds, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning's stroke, a power in the human arm, a power in the eye. The ethers cause these powers to be, and thought of Elohim, of angel, man, or other thinking thing directs the force. When it has done its work, the power is no more. Again, Lamas asked, "Of understanding, what have you to say?" And Jesus said, "It is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the ought and of the not, of falsehood and of truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self, the sensing of the powers of man himself." Again, Lamas asked, "Of wisdom, what have you to say?" And Jesus said, "It is the consciousness that man is aught, that God and man are one, that naught is not, that power is but illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which in the light of aught becomes the naught, and God is all." Lamas asked, "Pray, what is faith?" And Jesus said, "Faith is the surety of the omnipotence of God and man, the certainty that man will reach the deific life." Ooh, I'm going to say that again. And Jesus said, "Faith is the surety of the omnipotence of God and man, the certainty that man will reach the deific life. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to heart of God. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is truth. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. Fruition is the last, and this is man himself, the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition faith is lost. And man is saved when he has reached deific life, when he and God are one. Chapter 22. Just gonna let all that one soak in because Jesus spoke, and I don't really need to. But we just went over the definitions, according to Jesus at this time, of truth, man, power, understanding, wisdom, salvation, and faith. And all of those are very, very effective, very but very profound terms that we as men and women throw around and define in many things. And so I think that this chapter is a great one to just reflect and meditate on, so that you can know for yourself more what you define these things as today, and maybe reflecting on what you learned today and how you can see those things maybe the same that you already are or differently. So yeah, it's great. Great chapter. We're going to go on to chapter 23. I just need to drink some coffee. So, you like my cup? No one is you, and that is your power. Remember that. All right. Chapter 23. Jesus in Lamas among the Sudras and Visyas. In Benares, Jesus becomes a pupil of Udraka, the lessons of Udraka. One thing I love about, and I say love very loosely, I love about the Bible is all of the names all the time are always so difficult. But the more we read it, the more we like, oh, I know exactly who Methuselah is, but we know we aren't saying these words all the time. So we'll learn them. We'll learn them together. All right. Now, Jesus with his friend Lamas went through all the regions of Orissa and the valley of the Ganges, seeking wisdom from the Sudras and the Visyas and the masters. Correct me if I'm saying these wrong also, please. Benares of the Ganges was a city rich in culture and in learning. Here, the 2 Rabbonis tarried many days. And Jesus sought to learn the Hindu art of healing and became the pupil of Udraka, greatest of the Hindu leaders. Udraka taught the uses of the waters, plants, and earths, of heat and cold, sunshine and shade, of light and dark. He said, the laws of nature are the laws of health, and he who lives according to these laws is never sick. Oh, I love this chapter. I've never read this, so I'm about it. Transgression of these laws is sin, and he who sins is sick. He who obeys the laws maintains an equilibrium in all his parts, and thus ensures true harmony. And harmony is health, while discord is disease. Dr. Sebi said the same. That which produces harmony in all the parts of man is medicine, ensuring health. The body is a harpsichord, and when its strings are too relaxed or are too tense, the instrument is out of tune. The man is sick. Now, everything in nature has been made to meet the wants of man, so everything is found in medical arcanes. And when the harpsichord of man is out of tune, the vast expanse of nature may be searched for remedy. There is a cure for every ailment of the flesh. Of course, the will of man is remedy supreme, and by the vigorous exercise of will, man may make tense a cord that is relaxed, or may relax one that is too tense, and thus may heal himself. When man has reached the place where he has faith in God, in nature, and himself, he knows the word of power. His word is balm for every wound, is cure for all the ills of life. The healer is the man who can inspire faith. The tongue may speak to human ears, but souls are reached by souls that speak to souls. He is the forceful man whose soul is large and who can enter into souls, inspiring hope in those who have no hope, and faith in those who have no faith in God, in nature, nor in man. There is no universal balm for those who tread the common walks of life. 1,000 things produce in harmony and make men sick. 1,000 things may tune the harpsichord and make men well. That which is medicine for one is poison for another. So one is healed by what would kill another one. Facts. An herb may heal the one, a drink of water may restore another one, a mountain breeze may bring to life one seeming past all help. A coal of fire or bit of earth may cure another one, and one may wash in certain streams or pools and be made whole. The virtue from the hand or breath may heal 1,000 more, but love is queen. Thought reinforced by love is God's great sovereign balm. But many of the broken chords in life and discords that so vex the soul are caused by evil spirits of the air that men see not, that lead men on through ignorance to break the laws of nature and of God. These powers act like demons, and they speak, they rend the man, they drive him to despair. But he who is a healer, true, is master of the soul, and can by force of will control these evil ones. Some spirits of the air are master spirits and are strong, too strong for human power alone. But man has helpers in the higher realms that may be importuned, and they will help to drive the demons out. Of what this great physician said, this is the sum. And Jesus bowed his head in recognition of the wisdom of this master soul and went his way. Chapter 23. Ooh. Okay, I do have some insight that came to me while I was reading that. Beautiful chapter. And it was talking about also, I threw in my own little insight. Oh no, my own little insight while I was reading. So I won't get into that too much. If you want to study what I mentioned, go for it. But I just want to tap into the last part, verse 24 through 26. And it was talking about, there are laws in this universe, and there are laws of nature, there are laws of man, and there are all these laws that lead us to being either sick or in disease. So we have harmony that leads to health, and discord that leads to disease. And we have so many, he was saying that thousands of things in this life create harmony, and thousands of things in this life create discord. And it's up to us to have the will to make those choices in order to heal ourselves. But also in the end, it was talking about spirits that are of the air. They're master spirits, and they are by force of will, they control things that we can deem as evil. And they are just powers, they're spirits, they're things that we don't see, but they lead us and they affect us all the time. And it mentioned in verse 25 that these spirits are too strong for human power alone, but man has helpers in the higher realms that may be important and they will help to drive the demons out. And that's something that's actually mentioned in the King James Bible as well. I don't remember exactly where, but whenever you study fasting, it is said in the Old Testament that we fast not just for connection to God or to discipline ourselves and, release things that we know are unhealthy for us. But the fasting is also an opportunity for our angels to come in and be in our field more easily, because we are being more receptive. And we know that, like, we all have angels assigned to us, but they don't have the same free will that we do. So we have to call upon them. We have to pray if you want their assistance. And that's something that's been coming to me a lot lately, is just the fact that we do need to give them permission to just affect our lives in any way, because there are spirits that are out here that we don't see, that are not part of this physical dimension, but do affect this physical dimension. And those angels, those spirits, those guides are there to help us against those that are not there to help us. Just like in the physical, it's so reflective in things that we see, but it's not something that we see. And to have those guides come when we need them, they will drive out those bad energies, as well as us taking that free will to make choices that we know are going to be healthy for us. So I really love that chapter. That's what I really got from it. And feel free to share anything that you received in the comments. I know that, let me see how many chapters. Oh, this section is really long. I know that I put in the description that we're going to go through chapter 23, but due to time, I'll do one more chapter. So yes, if you have anything, please share it, whether you're live or you're listening to it later on. Okay, chapter 24, the Brahmic doctrine of castes. Jesus repudiates it and teaches human equality. The priests are offended and drive him from the temple. He abides with the Sudras and teaches them. 4 years the Jewish boy abode in temple Jagannath. One day he sat among the priests and said to them, "Pray, tell me all about your views of castes. Why do you say that all men are not equal in the sight of God?" A master of their laws stood forth and said, "The Holy One, whom we call Brahm, made men to suit himself, and men should not complain. In the beginning days of human life, Brahm spoke, and 4 men stood before his face. Now, from the mouth of Parabrahm, the first man came, and he was white, was like the Brahm himself, a Brahman he was called. And he was high and lifted up, above all want he stood. He had no need of toil. And he was called the priest of Brahm, the Holy One to act for Brahm in all affairs of earth. The second man was red, and from the hand of Parabrahm he came, and he was called Kshatriya. And he was made to be the king, the ruler, and the warrior, whose highest ordained duty was protection of the priest. And from the inner parts of Parabrahm, the third man came, and he was called a Vasya. He was a yellow man, and it was to till the soil and keep the flocks and herds. And from the feet of Parabrahm, the fourth man came, and he was black, and he was called the Sudras, one of low estate. The Sudra is the servant of the race of men. He has no rights that others need respect. He may not hear the Vedas read, and it means death to him to look into the face of priest or king, and not, but death can free him from his state of servitude. And Jesus said, "Then Parabrahm is not a God of justice and of right. For with his own strong hand he has exalted one and brought another low." And Jesus said no more to them. But looking up to heaven, he said, "My Father God, who was and is and evermore shall be, who holds within thy hands the scales of justice and of right, who in the boundlessness of love has made all men to equal be. The white, the black, the yellow, and the red can look up in thy face and say, Our Father God. Thou, Father of the human race, I praise thy name. And all the priests were angered by the words which Jesus spoke. They rushed upon him, seized him, and would have done him harm. But then Lamas raised his hand and said, You priests of Brahm, beware. You know not what you do. Wait till you know the God this youth adores. I have beheld this boy at prayer when light above the light of the sun surrounded him. Beware, his God may be more powerful than Brahm. Ooh. If Jesus speaks the truth, if he is right, you cannot force him to desist. If he is wrong and you are right, his words come to naught, for right is might, and in the end it will prevail. And then the priests refrained from doing Jesus harm, but one spoke out and said, Within this holy place has not this reckless youth done violence to Brahm? The law is plain, it says, He who reviles the name of Brahm shall die. Lamas pled for Jesus' life, and then the priest just seized a scourge of cords and drove him from the place. And Jesus went his way and found shelter with the black and yellow men, the servants, and the tiller of the soil. To them he first made known the gospel of equality. He told them of the brotherhood of man, the fatherhood of God. The common people heard him with delight and learned to pray, Our Father God who art in heaven. Chapter 24. That was a good one. Jesus was always ministering. Let's just say that. He was not just ministering and he was 33. He was 12 years old and he was already being threatened by death by the priests. And I always think that's so wild that his fight was always against the religious leaders of that time. And the religious leaders of that time were like ruthless. They literally said, oh, if you revile anything that's said by us, then you will die. And I understand, like, at that time, discipline and rules were very, very heavy in order for them to live in a harmonious way. But Jesus came because, like, obviously it wasn't harmonious anymore. They didn't even look at people as equal, and they didn't even reflect on the fact that God created all people. And Jesus was like, dude, like, y'all don't understand. And that's why I'm here, to be able to share the good news and, my God, the truth of God, to my people. And it even said in the last few verses that he was driven out by the priests by force. And he went to go live with the yellow and black men who these people who studied Brahm. So it wasn't even Christian religion. This was Hindu religion at the time too. They looked at people as an equal and looked at the yellow and the black men as servants. And Jesus went to them and was just like, all right, well, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to share it with these people, the people that are being oppressed, to know that this is not truth, that what you're being taught in this world is not right. And he did that later on too, when he was 33 and he went to the prostitutes and preached the news to her and said, hey, like, God loves you too, and you are not outside of us. And he's always been that way. And it's sad to know that we're still kind of preaching that. But I think the more that we reflect on that and the more that we really take that in consideration when we're dealing with one another, that we can move more towards that harmony that Jesus was kind of trying to teach us at that time. So yeah, that's all I have time for today. I would love to get more into the chapters, but I definitely have to get going. But I'm glad we were able to get through 4 chapters. So if you're just joining or you're re-listening to this later, go ahead, go back, leave some comments, any reflections that you feel open to sharing with the collective here, so that we can all learn together, share these reflections, have, respectful debates, respectful conversations. That's the goal here. So thank you for just listening if you made it this far. And I hope to see you next week at 10 a.m. I will be here on time. All right. Have a good one. Happy Sunday. And I love you.